Yeah, we are live today, the 26th of June 2018. We sort of have Astral there. He's having a few connection problems, so he was there, and a couple of people will be joining in a minute. They're just busy at the moment. And our special guest today, although really he's still a part of Sun and Moon, is Robert Foertsch. Hi, Robert.
Hi, thanks so much for having me on today, Karen.
It's always an absolute pleasure, Robert.
Well, thank you. I enjoy it as well.
Yeah, and I was just saying, what's on your T-shirt? Show them your T-shirt.
Well, YouTube Eternal Perspective, and then I also have that on my vehicle, and it's been really interesting because there's a dynamic of recognition that's been going on in the general public when I'm out and about. I'll take you for a walk outside and show you the
Can I just say that Astral's back? The Astral thief is back.
Great.
For now. Hi, Robert.
Hi, Astral. Glad to see you back.
I'm having big, major problems with the internet today, and it's something I think to do with this warm weather. It's quite warm today. It's been 27, 28 degrees here today.
Wow.
No complaints, though, Astral.
I ain't complaining. No. I love it.
Yeah, we're almost as hot as you, Robert. No. For a change.
We're about in the 90s now. It's low 90s, and I wanted to.
Oh no, we haven't lost Robert now, have we? Because he's gone outside.
No.
Oh no, there he is. Robert, you just went a little bit.
I went out?
Yeah, you're right now.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because it's my wireless is interacting with my cellular. What's happened with the dynamic of the YouTube on my shirt and chairs is that people are going there and tell me gone there after seeing the car or seeing the shirt, which is really pretty nice, and that's largely one of the topics I wanted to cover today, how Facebook can be a bit of a challenge in that, for me, for example, Robert Foertsch, the last name Foertsch is very long, a lot of letters, and it's not friendly to spell. I've had to spell it for people, telemarketers, all my life. What's nice
for me, Robert, I was calling you the wrong name for mine.
Yeah, for a little while. And so what we can all do is have a YouTube channel and then create playlists. One of the easiest to create playlists is the liked videos. So what I can do is wherever I am, I can like a video, and then it'll go on to that playlist right at the number one spot. So essentially what I can do is add videos at will, and I have thousands of links that I've posted out there of my liked video playlist. It would be on my photos that I capture and share to the different groups, the photos that I've shared to new friends on Facebook, gives them an option to go there and see that. We can all do something like that. One of the things that I did more recently is a little bit of a blast of memes. Some of them are memes, some of them are simply proclamations. I can show you what that looks like because it's a little bit easier to show rather than simply try and explain it. Okay, so there's my YouTube channel, but the official globe, there was a little bit of some activity heating up there recently. This is the photo album right here, and what it shows, for example, here's Mark Twain, and this is a classic line. I believe it's true no matter who says it. Yeah, it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they've been
Yeah.
fooled. And that's really a big deal. We deal with that quite often in our discussion with people because it's hard to admit to being fooled. And this is another one. Where in the Bible does it say flat Earth? Well, I've got it right there, and that's 2 Samuel 11:11. And then there's other Bible verses. What's really interesting about the Bible believers is that a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, you flat earthers are taking this all out of context." And what I did is I just made a splash of biblical content as well as empirical evidence. Right here, you can see it. There's still no curve there. Here's a couple hundred verses. On this one here, this would be surveyors that do quite a bit with surveying the world that we live in, and they're not calculating any curvature. This would be an example of my setup out at the beach where I've got the chairs, and obviously we don't see any curvature on that horizon. Just having the chairs out there when I'm doing what I'm doing elsewhere is it's a powerful way of communicating to the people that come out there. There will be thousands of people that show up there in that area in a day. So that's the coastal preserve and the car parked out there. The water is really flat. That's one of the things that illustrates how flat it is. Here we've got an example of a shower head in the upper right, and this umbrella is in a little swimming pool for children in that. And this pumps out about 35 gallons per minute, and you can see it's going over the top of a curved surface. It's just flowing out there, and it's going down. There's a bit of a disconnect with people, I think, when we say that water doesn't stick to a spinning ball, and then they say we don't understand gravity, and then we say, well, gravity is a lie, and then they say go jump off a balcony or something like that. There's up and down and heavier float or heavier falls, lighter floats. Looks like Patricia joined us, right? Karen? Uh-oh, I think your mic is muted, Karen. Hello?
I couldn't get back quick enough. I was just writing a message to Patricia just to say that Astral has a bad connection, so he's staying in the chat room. Yes, Patricia's joined us. Hello, Patricia.
Hello, everyone.
Greetings. Good to see you here, Patricia.
Oh, I want to be there.
So I was just going over some of the photos. This is the same resort that belongs to this swimming pool and umbrella in that, just from a different vantage point. But it's a beautiful setting. We can see the perfect symmetry of the reflections on the flat water there. It's just, oh wow, look at that. And it's just kind of interesting to see the different stages of life. This would be obviously a little girl learning to walk, and this is a little girl learning to be rolled around by maybe a son or a husband, I'm not sure, or maybe a friend, I don't know. But it's all kind of interesting. This one here is kind of fascinating to me. Do you see the shadow within the reflection, or on the outside, and then the reflection is in the middle? Can you see that on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. That has to do with lens placement being just right to capture that. And what I did that I've talked about before, this is the pier and the area all around there, different time of day for that beautiful reflection. This is the Myrtle Beach area. We are expecting in the neighborhood of 20 million guests here this
Hey,
year.
Robert, can I just very interrupt you? Patricia was telling me something today, weren't you, Patricia?
Sure.
About somebody she found very close to you. Patricia?
Who's that, Patricia?
Hiya. Yeah, it's called oh flipping heck. I've just shut his thing down. Flat something about curbless. I'll have to have a look. But he
Oh yeah,
basically
Nate Roberts has Curveless Earth channel. I'm trying to get in touch with him. He had a video where he mentioned that he was in Myrtle Beach. I private messaged him and left a message. I haven't heard back from him yet, but I thought that'd be interesting to connect with him here. He authored the book, The Flat Earth Doctrine. And I thought that would be interesting to talk to him about that and see him out here face to face. Yeah, this isn't that beautiful?
I think that's what Patricia felt for you. Oh, Robert can go and play cameras with someone else.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I sent him my photo album and YouTube channel. I've been subscribed to him for a while now. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Some of these shots only last a little while. What I've been doing is I just took this, I laid my card out there and shot it so that people could know, like I'm the trench coat guy in the videos that they're making fun of me. I wanted them to know who I am. That's when I lay a comment out there like water exposes the global lie. This is a puddle in the road out in front of our house. And what it'll do, you can see the symmetry of that, or I can, it's really flat water. And then there's that's just very, very interesting. This right here is a hydroplane wakeboard or surfboard that they use to get pulled around by a kite. Very interesting. This was a thunderstorm I captured a photo of. That's the Prince Resort once again. That was beautiful. I'm now using the iPhone 10. That's been very helpful. One of the things that I've done is I've included my phone number in this in my YouTube channel, in the description sometimes, as well as Eternal Perspective, because what it does is it makes it a bit searchable. When I drop in on a comment, for example, and just put my phone number there, people can see it, search it, call it, hand it off to telemarketers. That happens too. Here's a pelican going in for a dive right there. That's a friend of mine who does surfboard or surfing lessons. This is just a classic example. Up here we've got a couple holding hands. Here we've got a couple a little further apart, and one of them's on a cell phone. Pretty common to see people immersed in their technology. That's all. There's another one of the little family photos. It's kind of nice to see all that from where I am to, engage people's hearts and minds. That's a big part of what this is. I'm several miles away from that shot right there, just so you know. Yeah,
it's amazing, that, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and I've seen Richie from Boston doing some things with his camera, his P900, and he'll zoom in on like the sun or the moon, like this right here, and then he'll zoom in on things of a known distance, maybe 5 miles away, 10 miles away or so. And it's just very interesting. Things are quite a bit closer. This would be an example. This is a a liquid propane tank that somebody made to look like a Prozac capsule, talking about basically the fluoridation of the public water supply. Now, what I did with that is I put in the comments section, our oldest son taught me how to copy and paste. This is my YouTube channel up here. So if somebody clicks on that, then they'll go right over to my YouTube channel. I found out that if I had it as a subscriber, that people couldn't see the link. It wouldn't show up because they weren't a subscriber. So I paid attention to that. And so what I did is I put it as a user. Now this is talking about the making a killing. It's one of the videos. So if somebody clicks on that, they'll go to my liked video playlist in that area. I'll show you how that works. And see.
Have you been diagnosed with depression and struggle?
Oh, isn't that interesting? Yeah, this is the documentary about that. And then these dynamics right here where I'm showing the marketing of madness, death by medicine, the great culling. The great culling actually deals with
sure that what they're putting in is safe for us to drink.
the water supply and how they're actually putting sodium fluoride in the water supply, which is a toxin, and it impairs people's perspective. And then, of course, I'll cross-pollinate with my YouTube channel and my photo album, which will have those links. This one right here, psychiatry in the military.
Came out.
This particular video, The Hidden Enemy, the full documentary. Hey, I got a new subscriber. How nice. Yeah, that just came in. This one here talks about how the militaries of the world uses drugs to create killing machines like human beings that now are killers. And then they self-destruct when they get home. In our particular region, we've got some of the most sophisticated weaponry in the world. And then what happens is the soldiers self-destruct after their tour of duty. And they're viewed as an enemy of the state in many cases. So that's just very, very interesting how all this works out. And we can all have a part in exposing the reality of the world we live in. Like, for example, right here in this particular video, I did a Bible broadcast. It was shared by 10 friends, and then I was on my way to my next job, condo cleaning. And what I was able to do is share it 100 more times as I'm driving. And that may sound kind of weird, but with the Facebook Messenger, it's all pretty easy to be able to do that. One of the things that I wanted to show is this right here. This is one of my videos that I shot probably a year ago or so, and I've talked about this on my live broadcast before. What I wanted to show you is this dynamic right here. This is just showing the it's like a laser beam moving across the surface of the wet sand and the water. And what it illustrates is slight changes of elevation and how we can see that with the beam of light. And see right here in the front, this is what I want to show you right here. There's a hump right there. And I guess I've got a feedback loop. I don't know how to get rid of that. But what'll happen is, as the water comes in, it'll create a continuous reflection. Watch it right here. See that? There it is. So the amount of change of elevation we're talking about is very slight, less than an inch. So there's empirical evidence to prove we're not on a globe. There we are again. See how that shows up?
Yeah.
And when there's the irregular shapes that are filled in by the water, we can see that too.
Well, I never noticed that before. I'll be looking for that now when I go to water.
Yeah, and one of the places that you can see it. Oh, I'm gonna go to this playlist because I think it's pretty spectacular actually, and that's one of the things that I've mentioned is that even if you're not interested, let's say, in hearing the Bible, you might be interested
Well,
in
shall I explain to
watching.
people? You are into that side of it. You're Bible.com, but Robert, I reckon every day goes to the beach and films the sunrise, the sunset, and if he can get the moon in, if he can get it all in, he'll film the whole thing every day.
Well, you know, it's
And you have
interesting.
captured some amazing footage, though, haven't you, Robert?
Oh yeah, thank you. This right here is we had about a 7-foot tide, and this would be in the spring, and the open ocean is over here on the right side. And what will end up happening is this fills in, and the water just works its way up, and you can watch it. It's just very relaxing to watch. And then you can see how flat and calm that is right there. And what I did, I'll unmute it so you can
Then the
hear.
New Testament broke that silence with the loving arrival of God's Son on earth, who became a man born as a baby named Jesus. Jesus gave his
Oh,
life
I
to
think
pay
I know
the
what was
penalty
wrong.
for the sins of the
I had the
world.
wrong.
In this way,
Yeah, you
I
have to just be a
wrong-
little bit careful in case that's copyrighted, though, Robert, because we'll get a thingy bob on it.
Oh,
If that's,
okay.
you remember, you
That's
played
right.
something, copyright on it.
That's right. That's right. So, I'll back out of that. Let me see.
Robert does put his. You put those on your channel, don't you? You film the sea and stuff, and then you play parts of the Bible.
Yeah. In fact, on my playlist, for example, this playlist right here, there's 114 videos, and that's the God's Word playlist, and it'll play for hundreds and hundreds of hours. Some of the videos are 12 hours long. And then on the liked videos, I've got 954 videos there. And then I've got Flat Earth, seriously. There's a lot of content there. And then sea level is they're all different. Some of the videos are in each one of them, but the liked videos are pretty amazing because we can all add videos that that we want people to be aware of, and that I believe is a real benefit for the people that we meet. Maybe have you heard it said that knowledge is power?
Yeah.
Okay, and there's that's an interesting thing to consider, thought to consider. There's a real benefit to knowing the truth about a situation to make an accurate attempt to work within the context of that. When we understand more clearly what the reality is. And then there is a lot of debate that people have what they perceive the reality is. And that's a big part of what we're dealing with all of this. we're presenting to people a reality that's different than the one that they've known for almost their whole life. And what that means is that they've been lied to and believed it. They've been deceived. And so my entrance into this was actually a life or death situation. I didn't want to live anymore, basically, is what how I came into this. And I wanted to know the truth more than anything else. And the big question that I had, if I was truly born again, and I thought I was, why was I still a drug addict? And why was I such a mess psychologically? And I was on a smorgasbord of drugs over a dozen years. And what I found out is that the pharmaceuticals were a catalyst for addiction. They actually heightened the addiction because a dopamine blocker, which is what I was on towards the end, was it blocks the pleasure center, which is the learning or reward center. So like I mentioned earlier to you today, Karen, can you imagine me being at a loss for words? It's not that I didn't want to talk. I just couldn't express the words that I wanted to say. I couldn't communicate the thoughts that I had. So I do believe that happens to people in a different way. It may not be drug induced. They just might not be able to communicate what they want to say to people. Like, for example, if you see a video that you believe exposes the reality of a conspiracy that you've become aware of, like the global lie or the flat earth, want to expose the reality that we're not on a globe. And that, if I were to just say, the moon landing was a hoax, we didn't really go to the moon, that's going to sound very hard for some people to believe. What about the Christian astronauts that go on speaking tours and read the Bible supposedly from space? And are they lying? Well, yeah, they are, because that's a false reality. So is that so hard to imagine? I mean, we've got so in one respect, we'll see phony preachers that are hypocrites, and they're doing things that are totally unbiblical and asking for millions of dollars to do stuff. It's easy for people to believe that those are snake oil salesmen and charlatans. What about the government? Does the government lie? Yeah, the government lies, but they're not going to lie about the shape of the earth, right? They're not going to lie about what really happened on 9/11, are they? Of course they are.
Oh, Robert, no. Yeah, they did. They did.
Yeah, they certainly did. And they'll continue to do that. Now, what we have the opportunity to do, and this just blows my mind, is that in my hand right now, I'm holding a device. I'm going to grab another one that's like it. I've got the iPhone 10 that I'm using for this broadcast. This is an iPhone 6S, or is it a mirror? kind of a mirror, right? But it's interesting because it's instantaneous worldwide communications in the hands of people that want to share the truth, and those that are deceivers still. So it's a mix of those. Now, what we can do as a group is, or as individuals, I should say, is to let people know we want to get 100 subscribers to go live on YouTube if we want to do that. I certainly do. And I've got approaching over 650 subscribers now. So it's unlikely that I'll ever lose my live broadcast privilege because of a lack of subscribers. I don't believe they're all going to go away. It could happen. I just don't think it's likely. I found a workaround the live broadcast, so I can go live on Facebook, and then later on I can download it to my computer and upload it to YouTube, so I can get it out there. The advantage of going live on Facebook, for me personally, and then uploading it to YouTube, is the notification process is really robust for Facebook, in that people potentially, 1.5 billion people can see a live broadcast. They can see where one is going on. So let's say there's a significant event, um, an event that people want to know what's going on in such and such a location. They would look for live broadcasts there. If that happens here, I would be one of the people that'll go live with that. For example, I'll give you a case in point that could very likely happen here in the next few months. We could have a hurricane hit the Myrtle Beach area, and I've been working on some of the details for that. Getting an iPhone 10 allows me to broadcast without a case on it, and I'll get more optical clarity, and it can handle rain. It's not going to, it's supposed to be able to handle wet conditions and being submerged in water up to 3 feet. Well, I should be able to do that. I should be able to broadcast like from the parking ramp of the Prince Resort. I have to get in there before they shut that area down. So part of it would be knowing how to do that. So people might say, "Oh, I want to see what live broadcasts are coming out of Myrtle Beach right now," and there's a little flashing dot. Have you ever done that, Karen or Astral or Patricia? Looked for a live broadcast in an area where you knew something was going on?
Oh no, not where I knew something was going on, but I've seen the live broadcasts and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good.
See, the notification process can come out from our friend network. However, there's a feature where we can click on it and see what live broadcasts are happening in the world. That's what's kind of interesting. Joey Rocha has been covering some of the volcanology that's going on over in Hawaii. I believe it's recognized as the world's largest volcano, what's been going on there. And you're familiar with Joey, right, Karen? I believe he mentioned you might have him on Sun and Moon.
Are you there, Karen? Yeah, that's true, Robert. He's coming on Friday, I do believe. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw the clip that showed a stream of lava moving apparently 100 miles an hour, which is not real. It was a computer added lava flow.
Lava viscosity. Very thin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So part of what is very difficult for people to consider is the proportions at which the deception has been perpetrated on us, from school age, from kindergarten. Actually, before that, before we were ever born, the global deception was taking place. And then there's another dynamic that goes on. I talked about it in one of my live broadcasts, where a mother who's carrying a baby in her womb, watching a scary movie or has a traumatic experience, that affects what's going on with the child too. Those chemicals, those fight or flight type of chemicals, serotonin or dopamine or norepinephrine, whatever chemical cocktail the body produces to deal with that type of an event, goes to the child as well. And then the chemicals that the mother takes in her body or puts on her body, let's say in the form of a sunscreen, they're very toxic. And, you know, a lot of people that I've talked to over the years are
Yeah, it goes to your liver.
What's that?
Those creams, when we put them on, all these toxins go to our liver.
Yeah, and that would be bad enough. However, they go up here to the brain. That's one of the big targets that is being targeted, I should say. That's one of the places that the shadow government of the world is targeting, basically to impair our judgment.
What about, sorry to interrupt you, what about perfume?
Yeah, that too. That can be a big deal. I showed how I put my water in the sunshine. It's a highly purified carbon filtered water. And I had an occurrence the other day. I've been flushing out my sinuses. I'll put water in my hand, the purified warm water, and I'll inhale it. Well, what came out of my nose smelled like it was really nasty. It looked like a piece of algae or something, and it could have been somewhat of a biological agent that maybe had been put there through the geoengineering or the weather modification. They not only put chemicals like aluminum, barium, strontium. I've heard that there are other contaminants as well that can grow, like a fungus or that type of thing. So it's pretty interesting. There's a battle going on for the hearts and souls and minds of people. There's a very close link to the heart and the mind, and that knowledge is power line that we talked to, or that I mentioned. One of the things that I found was I had a lack of power to do what I believed I should do, and that gave me pause. I thought, well, what's going on here? I thought I was supposed to have the power of God living in and through me, and the reality of it is I didn't. And I discovered that it was more of a realization, a revelation that God showed me, that I only thought I was born again and I wasn't. So that's why I'm so unapologetically biblical. I'm not singing kumbaya and embracing all forms of spirituality. I understand, for me personally, that the change is so significant, and I've been paying attention for a long time with this. What I came to believe is that I had the impossible mandates and commands of Scripture, and I just didn't measure up. I couldn't. So I thought I was born again over 30 years ago until I actually was on Reformation Day of 2014. And what happened was I was given an ultimatum by my wife, Joni. She said, if you don't take medication, we're done. Our marriage is done, and there will be no more physical intimacy. And I said, well, I hope you come up with something different than that, because I'm not going to take the drugs anymore. The reality of it is, in 2005, I tried to end my life when I was on Prozac and Depakote. And what I don't know if you've ever heard the advertisements for medications. There's so many side effects. The United States is one of the areas in the world that allows direct marketing to the population. Not all countries do that. So people start asking their doctor for a certain drug. Well, never had I ever heard that you may have homicidal thinking. And the reality of it is, I was having, when I tried killing myself with a Tylenol PM overdose in 2005, I had homicidal thinking too, very impaired perspective. So I know people get a little bit nervous around people on drugs. Let's say somebody's on methamphetamines or heroin or cocaine. They get really desperate because of the physical withdrawals that can accompany not having the monkey on their back satisfied. Well, it gets really complicated with legal prescribed drugs because there's a family support network, supposed support network, that encourages the patient or the individual to stay on the medication. And they're unaware that they may be on a very dangerous relationship with that individual because of what it can. Yeah, there's Smeagol. Isn't he something? Yeah, he doesn't know we're on a hangout.
Very funny.
Yeah,
Hello,
so
Polly.
yeah, he's an interesting little kitty. He reminds me of the kitty on Austin Powers. He's the same breed, and he's very affectionate. He's adorable. But you know, the thing of it is the family is unaware of the danger, the peril that they may be in. And a pastor that was at the church that I volunteered at for years contacted me. He was concerned about my belief in the flat Earth, and he encouraged me to get back on medication. And I said, "No, Bill, I'll never do that because I barely survived the chemical assault on me from those." What ended up happening was tragic. For him, he was dealing with depression and ended up taking his life right before Christmas of last year. So,
Hey, Robert, in the chat room, Wake the Sheeple said, Karen, let him know he should have been saying suicidal, not homicidal.
I was both suicidal and homicidal. That's what people are unaware of, is that I found out in my treatment when I was at a hospital on several different occasions that other people that were suicidal were also homicidal. In fact, that's one of the things that has been under or not reported, is that with some of the events that have taken place, the tragedies, the human tragedies of people doing terrible, wicked things to children or other adults, that pharmaceuticals have been a part of that. And you can understand why they don't want that out there. So they're not going to report on it. That's why a documentary, like I shared, four documentaries that I shared on that Prozac capsule looking photo, that's to engage people's hearts and minds. I want them to know the truth about that. That if
Robert, as you're talking, would you play some of the footage of your, like, the sunrises, like, you know, the heptagonal sun? Or I'm sure they'd love it.
I can do that, and I'll get there. I'm gonna have to bump Smeagol out of the way.
You have such amazing food. Hello, Smeagol. You have such amazing footage. So while you're here, and the man who's filmed it playing it is even better.
Yeah, I'll definitely go there. The thing that I want to kind of, if we can go over there in just a little bit, I kind of wanted to put this together in a manner that I think is a little bit more cohesive, in that in the power struggle, in the control of humanity, what's going on is there's a chemical control that's in the food and the water and the air. And then it's also within the family unit, and it's also in the marketing and the news media. And it's basically men and women have been struggling for control in relationships since the Garden of Eden, and it's still happening today. That's a big issue. And so the whole physical intimacy is a big deal, and the lack of it is a very frustrating issue for a lot of people. I know it is for me personally. Now, here's a couple of things that I believe are important to consider. That some of the drugs, in fact, many of them, cause either a lack of interest or dysfunction with individuals emotionally. It's like dumping a bucket of mud in the brain, is far and the heart. So there's everything is like just doesn't register. People walking around like they're in a fog, and that's a big part of it. So as it relates to presenting information to individuals, like my Son in the Clouds video, that's pretty interesting because it's new information, and a lot of people haven't seen that before. How does that even happen? And so a lot of people saw that. About 500,000 people, 600,000 have seen it, and 14,000 shared it. And then one of the other surprising things is the sound bites that were able to go out from the Flat Earth Conference that I was able to articulate, and has been one of the reasons why I believe it's important to
People
consider.
recognise you now, Robert.
What's that?
Because of that video from the conference in America, do people recognise you now?
Yeah, in fact, I've met people in public that have said they've seen me there on the videos, and then of course in the social media activity within the Flat Earth discussion, a lot of people recognize me from that. What is interesting though is the assault on not just the truth. It's the assault on the truth. Water basically exposes the global lie. So if we were to look at what water, it's not just the water in a container, it's the whole hydrologic system, the water cycle of the world, how it evaporates, condenses, and then precipitates in all its various forms: rain, snow, sleet, fog, hail, and more, just humidity as well. And then the water also that
you don't
comes
get
out
much
of us.
rain, do you, Robert? You don't get much rain where you are.
Well, actually, I think close to 3 feet a year. It's a lot of rain.
We have some of ours.
Oh yeah. How much rain do you get in the
Feet of
UK,
it.
Karen?
Feet, Robert. There's feet of it.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
we have had a really nice time right now. I mean, none of us in the UK can complain. Even Astral has it in Denmark. He's just dropped off again. We've had weeks of it now, probably about 5 weeks, really, of nice weather, maybe 4 or 5 weeks. That's just the last for so many years. That's just unknown. So yeah. I'm not saying it's quite as hot as you, but it's been really hot. It must be. We do it different. We do degrees, and you do Fahrenheit, don't you?
Yeah.
You say 19.
In Fahrenheit, what would it be?
Okay, I'll tell you what. You carry on. You talk for a minute, and I'll look it up. What it is? What ours is roughly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So one of the dynamics that is so interesting about the water is whether it's just hydroelectric power generation, which makes electricity. Obviously, the dams where they create a reservoir, block off a river, and then have it spin a turbine, or lots of them, One of my liked videos is on the Three Gorges Dam in China, which was pretty amazing. It's the world's largest hydroelectric power generating system in the world. And it shows a tremendous amount of water flow in through the floodgates. And there is a big deal with that in the floodgates of heaven that were opened up that allowed the water from above to come down below in the flood that Noah prepared for. And then we have the fountains of the deep that opened up to release more water. And then there was also rain that occurred. A lot of water. And, you know, the wind can create a storm surge with hurricanes and waves and ripples and all that. However, the water is so powerful. You know, we've seen different flooding. I believe flooding is one of the main causes of death in natural disasters. That's one of the big deals. Back to water, though, and the water cycle. Even coal-fired power plants use water to create, they use steam to move the turbines. And when it's radioactive or nuclear power, they're using a very dangerous and expensive way of generating steam to move turbines. And we've seen some of the results of what can happen when that goes wrong. In the Fukushima event. And I don't know what's happened to all the radiologically contaminated vehicles that have maybe been distributed around the world. Has anybody on the panel heard of cars that were radioactive that got out of Japan?
Say that again, that last bit again, Robert, because I'm still looking at the chart here. What did you say?
Well, what I was curious about is what happened with cars that were in good condition in Japan, yet were affected radiologically. They may have been contaminated with radioactivity. Did they get distributed to the world? Did they go out on and get shipped around? I'm not aware of any word about contaminated cars. Has anybody on the panel heard about that?
No.
I've got a friend in California who said there's been a lot of people looking pretty rough because of radioactivity coming across from that. It could be other reasons too. I don't know, but
hey, Robert, can I just ask you? You Fahrenheit. You do things with Fahrenheit, yeah?
Yes.
So if it's 28 degrees here, it's 82.4 Fahrenheit for you.
Oh, wow. Oh, very good. Okay. So when it's okay. So is it in the is it like that kind of temperature now over there for you?
Yeah, it's been like this for weeks now. We're sweltering here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and
because we don't want the grey days and the cold and all that, but it's been like that for so long. Even if you've got a couple of nice days, the chemtrails, the clouds. In fact, I think it has clouded. Oh no, maybe it hasn't. But we've just had glorious days for weeks.
Oh, that's so nice.
No chemtrails. It's absolutely amazing.
Well, one of the things that I noticed the other day, and it doesn't happen very often, is that there was no dew on the car. Typically, there's a lot of condensation on the vehicles outside. And the other day, there was not. And so I went to my weather app and I saw that the temperature and the humidity were the same. And I believe that's why there wasn't the condensation that we would normally see. It was like 81 degrees and 81% humidity, so there was no dew, no condensation. So the you know, some of the mysteries of this world are somewhat even a bit more mysterious. Some of them make more sense. Like, I remember looking up into the sky and seeing clouds moving different directions. And I thought, how is that possible? And that was when I started questioning the rotation of the Earth. And what I found out, I only said it to one individual in my life that I'm aware of before I realized it was a lie. I said, "Isn't it amazing that we're spinning over 1,000 miles an hour and we can't even feel it?" And then it was a little while after I said that, I realized we're not spinning, we're not moving, we're not wobbling, gyrating, none of that. And that's, when I show the pictures of the perfectly flat, undisturbed water, that wouldn't be the case if we had wobbling going on. That's for sure. And the multiple directions of airflow, that wouldn't be happening either. So one of the things that I've made an effort to do is to reduce it to some of the simplest realities we can evaluate. And one of them is water exposes the global eye. It doesn't stick to a spinning ball. It fills its container perfectly and it seeks its level. And we use it a lot, to wash our hands, use the restroom to take a shower, or to get rid of unpleasantries. The toxins that leave our body. That's a big part of it. One of the things that I talk about, I'm gonna show you here. Like when I wring the water off of my body, off my arms, the rest of my body when I'm done showering. Like I got out of the shower right before the call because I had mowed the lawn and it was time to get cleaned up, all the sweat and that. Well, what I do is that I scrub up with the exfoliating gloves and a little baking soda and cinnamon. It smells nice and it works great for cleaning. And then the other thing that I do, it opens up the skin to breathe really good. And then it gets rid of the dead skin. So it's more effective in absorbing oxygen. So then when I rinse off, I rinse off my rinse water with the purified hot water, actually about as hot as I can handle. And then I warm up the coconut oil in my mouth and squirt it into my hands and put it all over my body. Why? Well, it's like a body glove. It's hydrophobic. It repels water. And so when I squeeze my arms and wring the water off of me, it keeps coming out. And then when I dry off, I use a hair dryer. It's as hot as I can, and the water keeps coming out of my body. We've got a lymphatic system which circulates water. And then, of course, our heart circulates the blood and distributes the oxygen to our body, and our lungs absorb the oxygen that is created by the plants that are using the process of photosynthesis to create, consume the CO2 that we exhale, and then it gives us oxygen in exchange. So like the plants behind me and the plants all around the house, that's an important part of healthy a healthy environment. And then the ions that are in the air at the ocean, all very healthy. And so when I step outside and I can smell the wonderfully fresh air, even if it's a bit humid, I might open up the windows in the house for 5 minutes and then close it back up and use the air conditioning to extract the humidity out. It employs a temperature differential that causes condensation on looks like a radiator, but it's what they call a coil. It's the air flows through it, the water collects on it and drains outside the house. So if it's an atmospheric water generator. The water is coming from the respiration that comes out of our exhaling, our respiration. The plants are transpiring, they're giving off water and oxygen. We take a shower, the humidity that comes from there. We're living in a lot of water, basically. And the other thing about the coconut oil is it repels the water, so it keeps the skin nice and flexible, and that's one of the reasons why I have a younger than 56 appearance, because I am making choices. I'm able to, that are healthier for my body, healthy nutrition, healthy things to think about. Not hanging on to anger and bitterness and that type of thing. So I enjoy myself quite a bit, and that's part of what I get to do. That's so I do what I believe Jesus created me to do, and He rewards me for that. It's different than a drug addict looking to get high, like I was perpetually. So I'm a free man wanting to share a message to help set other people free. And part of the chemicals that are released in the brain happen through what we see with our eyes. A good example of that is pornography and what it does to the brain. It's a drug addiction. And so is documentaries showing trips to the moon and Mars and Pluto and all that fabricated science fiction that's not real. And part of what we're dealing with is a very sophisticated integrated system that uses artificial intelligence or machine learning systems. Basically, computers that are way smarter than people, that are programming humanity as well. So some sometimes we directly interact with the technology, maybe in an interface like an automated pay system for a credit card. And like Eva is my assistant for American Express. I don't have a balance there anymore, so I don't have to talk to Eva anymore. But when I did, she listened to me, had a female voice, but it's a computer. And then they have computers that they're putting a face onto it, like Sophia, and granting citizenship. Part of the battle that we're dealing with is a system that is wanting to damage the opposition, deceive the opposition. So the Mark Twain quote, "It's easier to fool people than to convince them they've been fooled." So in part of the knowledge is power, knowing that there are harmful contaminants that we can avoid by making other choices. Why wouldn't we do that? Well, part of the issue for me, if I look in the mirror, and I do, is that I didn't have the power to say no to the things that would give me immediate satisfaction. That's part of the malady of the drug addict. Knowing that, like for example, I put this hand on a stove when I was a couple years old, an electric stove, and got the circular burn mark on my hand. I did it one time. And yet, with the addiction of alcohol and other drugs, I lost jobs and crashed cars and nearly lost my life with that activity. So I'm just so glad to be free, that I want to share a message to set other people free. That's why I do this. You know, no matter how many of these actual conspiracies we become aware of, how will we make the right choice? How will we make a healthy choice? So in my interaction with different individuals, I've met very proud individuals that are maybe financial consultants, business consultants, and they it was interesting. Todd was a gentleman I met out there where I take a lot of pictures, and he said, "Why aren't there any people swimming out there right now?" I said, "Well, because it's feeding time right now, and that's an area that has a lot of fish, and the sharks like that." He said, "Oh." I said, "Yeah, yeah. Later on in the day, it'll be better. You're better off in the surf. Although shark can be there, they're more interested in the calm water in back where he was asking me that question." I said, "Yeah, it's very important to know the information to have an accurate plan of action." He was a business consultant working for large corporations. He didn't want anything to do with my belief in the Bible. And I understand that. I've got a very limited audience in that. I know that. So that's even within the truth movements, I take a lot of normally not a lot of heat from flat earthers. It's more from people that believe in the globe. It's just going into that area of discussion. I found that with people that are aware of 9/11 being an inside job, many of those people are not flat earthers. And yet, if somebody knows that the earth isn't a globe, they're aware of many of the other details, the other conspiracies. This is Pearl. She doesn't like many of the other kitties. She fights with them. You asked me one time, do they argue? Yeah, Pearl argues with all the kitties except there's two of them she likes a lot. She's pretty feisty. She's what they call an elf variety.
How many have you got, Robert?
Well, we've got 6 of the naked kitties.
6. I told the chat room it was 4 or 5.
Yeah, 6 of these. The elf or the Sphinx kitties. That's what they call them. And then we've got 2 ordinary cats, so to speak. They're almost 20 years old. The more ordinary cats, but these guys right here, some of them live up to 35 years old. That's kind of interesting. I didn't even know that cats could live that long. But yeah, I want to show you some of those videos, Karen. Which video were you thinking you might like to see about the?
Well, play your favorite one, Robert. It's probably best because just pick one of your favorite ones because you've got so many.
Okay, let me flip this around.
I know which ones you're going to pick. The weird-looking sun and moon, or whatever.
Yeah, let me activate this here. All right, let me see.
Because you're bound to have favorite ones, aren't you, Robert?
Well, I do. One of them, it's interesting. The one that got shared so many times is that just shocked me that so many people would do that. Let me see.
That's our one, Robert.
Yeah, that's it. You aren't going to copyright yourself, are you? Yeah, there we are.
You liked the one I used, did you?
I did. I thought that was good. Oh, this is funny. Oh, here's she's smacking Smeagol.
Yeah, Robert throwing that in down the toilet.
Oh yeah, this one I thought was really interesting.
I believe that's a lot of what humanity is participating in. I've made that comment on the videos where they're making fun of me for not believing the official lie that they say we live on a globe.
What I was mentioning there, and this one here is called the Mysterious Sun. What I was talking about that you featured on this was the celebration of ignorance. And what I find really amazing about that is that a lot of people are just unaware, and they're ignorant to the reality, and the reality of the flat Earth and the science fiction of the globe and evolution. They just don't know, and they don't know they don't know. I think this one's really pretty. You know, I don't really know quite what to do with the way that looks. I've seen a lot of clouds, seen a lot of reflections, taken a lot of pictures. To me, it looks like that sun is sitting in the midst of that cloud, doesn't it? Does anybody else recognize that too?
Yes, Robert.
Well, and you know, people say it's an amusing optical illusion, or then there are videos that explain why it looks that way. And I've listened to those explanations and read them, and it still doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how it works. It's mysterious as far as I can tell. That's pretty much what I do with that. I don't know how far away it is. I believe it's way closer to 93 million miles. That's ridiculous.
I think what we see is only a very short distance away.
That's right. So there it looks pretty stationary. We can see it moving a little bit. That's one of the advantages to recording around architecture or a fixed point, is that we can see how it moves away. And I just find it amazing. Yeah, this is the flat Earth debate one. I find that
God's children.
in the back here. So I don't understand why the sun is changing its like shape there, like pulsating. I don't understand that. There's the water jug. Look at what the sun is doing there. Why is it doing that? I don't know. But there was the water seeking its level. And let's see. Some of these out here, like this is off of the pier, and just the beauty of the water and the people enjoying it, I find very interesting. The people are reflective. They reflect off of the water. It's reflective and like so are the people, reflecting on their past, present, future. And then the you know, when it's if you see half of a couple, maybe, you know, there are a couple, half of them go to the Walmart. Well, when it's beach time and they're not together, that's different. You know, there's a lot of solitary activity, a lot of singles out there, men or women. And then there's friends walking together, like a couple of ladies or a couple of guys, not necessarily a couple per se. They're just enjoying friendship because maybe they're divorced, maybe they're a widow or a widower, or maybe they have someone that's just totally lost interest in spending quality time. So it's a bit. Now this is interesting. Here, I kind of went too far on that. The the jogger, that's what I wanted to show you. The reflection has to do with the eye of the observer, and the shadow has to do with the light source. So the shadows and reflections have been a pretty big deal for me. I just find it amazing. Yeah. So, like in this right here, just I find that so fascinating, and watch how the reflection goes away. There it is, walks right into the sand. There they go. A lot of these people I've met and talked to them, and some are regulars, of course, and then we've got people that visit from all over. There's the Myrtle Beach skyline there. That's like 25 miles away. There's no curve, no curvature. We
What,
know
those
that.
buildings? Those buildings, Robert?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of hotels there. Yeah, just like the Prince Resort, there's hundreds of that type of structure.
Hey, Robert, someone in the chat room, one man and his detector, he's basically saying, you should get a metal detector. Have you ever been down there digging?
You know, there's a lot of people out there that do that. I just haven't had the interest in it. I've talked to individuals that have done that. They every now and again find something, but it's they have to look long and hard to find anything. There's the water seeking its level. What I showed down here too, I thought it was kind of interesting, is what it does to the sand. It maybe it was on a different video that I showed that, but it looked like a lunar surface, the way the water left the texture in the sand. But see, like we've been told that the thermosphere is supposed to be thousands of degrees, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust them. I don't know. I know when you go higher in the air, it gets cold. How does it all of a sudden get really hot? Is that true? And how would we know? Yeah.
We don't know, do we? Because we can't go up there.
Right. And I don't trust them. They're lying. I ain't buying. Little sound bites like that. See, that water will match up with the horizon. It was a compliment that PewDiePie made fun of me. He had 61 million when he started making fun of flat earthers, and me probably a third of his first video. Well, he didn't even mention me in his second video, which was a bigger compliment. I guess they didn't want that information to be looked at. I held You know, he mentioned people in the first video that he mentioned in the second video. I wasn't one of them. I was holding a little 6-inch level up against the horizon. That works. That water level works at any scale. Yeah. It's okay. There's a water tower right there. I got a picture of a water tower there. They were cutting in half today, out the window of my car, out the roof of my car. I shot it in the front direction, and then I held my hand out the roof and shot it as I was driving away, zoomed in, and I put it right in the middle of the shot. I thought that was interesting that would even happen. But see, here's a bunch of people fishing, and I'm fishing with digital equipment worldwide.
And dodging those seagulls.
Oh yeah, lots of seagulls around. Let's see if I can find the mysterious sunrise. Let's see. Oh, this one's pretty interesting.
Not on the beach, Robert.
I'm just pointing the opposite direction of the beach, but I'm in an oceanfront condo, just out the other side.
Whoa, amazing.
It's like a little puppy dog in front of the sun, kinda. I think I zoom in on the moon then. See, that's one of the interesting dynamics is the way that the sun and the moon interact between one another through the seasons and the every day. It's changing continually. Not in a random way at all. Look at that. See, you can't see that with the naked eye. It's just so amazing with that magnification. Olive wanted to come and say hi now. I thought I was going to zoom in on the moon. I don't know if that's on this video or not. So, and a lot of people have questions on that we really don't have. I don't have an accurate answer for, like how far the sun or the moon are really away. I don't know. A pretty common question, it's happening on one of my posts, is why can't I see China but I can see the moon? And I said humidity, particulate, precipitation. You know, you can't see through water. You can't even see through clouds. Look at that. You know, the sun was right there, and it still is, but you can't see through it. Okay, so like on this video, let me see what I did with that. I put my phone number there. I want people to be able to search that. People can search my phone number and they'll get YouTube videos. They can search Eternal Perspective and they'll bump into me, maybe. That's why I did it like that. Oh, here we go. Here's Mysterious Sun. That should be interesting. So I'm trying to activate this, and Olive keeps on moving my finger. So I just bumped over into another video. Here we go. So the open ocean is in that direction where the sun is coming up. It's much colder now. The sun is way offshore. So I think this is like in November or so. And it's pretty cool outside. So I don't even know how the sun does this. I don't even know what we're looking at, why it's doing that. I'm sure a term like refraction and atmospheric lensing would be terms that people would use for that. I just don't know how that works. It's pretty cool looking. Wow, look at that.
Clouds look a bit incredible as well, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. When you film these things like that, they always remind me of being a lava lamp.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I won't say that I've got a lot of it filmed like that. I think I've got one. I think this one is it, where it's doing this. I have another one where those clouds look like the reflection of buildings. And once again, it's called mysterious sun or mysterious sunrise. Yeah, there's the round sun, right? Yeah. It lasted for so long like that. I just don't know quite what to make of it.
No, it looks quite like a lava lamp, doesn't it?
Yeah. Some of the comments where it looks like a nuclear bomb, you know, like the mushroom cloud. See, just that little bit of elevation of sand there will stop the beam of light until it rises up enough where it'll go over the top of it, like it's starting to do now. So it's kind of like a laser beam. That's what I've noticed in the watch, you know, my observation of it. And then we can see the plane mirror. It's a sea level liquid mirror. That's the Atlantic Ocean, but it's the water that covers the face of the earth. And this is just off the coast of South Carolina. Yeah. See how that that little dirt there is interrupting that light beam? Just that little bit, and then it'll go up over the top of it. That's why I focused in on it. I wanted people to see that. That's what's going on there. And now that doesn't even look round. It's more oval. But then I've got plenty of pictures where it's round. I've had different people want me to do research with a filter, and I got a
So, can I
filter,
say
and
something? Flat Earth
sure,
Unity put goggles, which was like double the thickness of glass, on the end of his phone, or whatever he was using, and the sun was a little tiny thing.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, I wanted to pretty much stick with the natural filter of the moisture, because I'm showing more than the sun. I'm showing the water, and the people and the birds, the pelicans, all that around. It's not just the sun that I'm showing. It's basically, I'm wanting to show people the world from a different perspective, and I don't want it to be a distortion. This gets pretty interesting here too, I think, with what happened. This is a pretty thick layer of clouds right there. Look at how you can't see through that. You notice that? It's like half of the sun is, or there it is. It's blocking it out pretty effectively.
I
So
know.
that does its own. That's doing filtering too. So when the sun is low on the horizon, either at sunrise or sunset, there's more atmosphere that it's going through, and in the more vertical above us, there's not as much moisture that the sun has to shine through, or that we have to look through. That's one of the reasons why we can't see real far over the ocean, is all the moisture. I mean, and depending on the humidity, we can see quite far sometimes. When it's really low humidity, we can see a lot farther. So they were talking about developing a P1000, which would be a 100 times magnification. Right now, the P900 is 83 times. But see, even this water right there fills in these little low spots perfectly. That washboard surface and that. And yeah, there's some ripples on the water, but it's still like mostly flat. That's what we're seeing there. Now, I saw a video on the Suez Canal. It's 100 miles long. It connects the oceans, and there's no curvature, obviously. We know that. But it's a parallel, the water surface and the bottom. It's the same depth the whole way. No, no accounting for any curvature at all. And then on my photo album, I have a CIA document. You can see it's a lot of print, and you can see the word or the letter CIA. And then I copied and pasted Robbie Davidson's post of that onto it. So he has the credit for that, as well as Dean Odell, who then did a documentary, a presentation on the reality of the NASA/CIA documents talking about a non-rotating level plane that airplanes fly over a non-rotating flat Earth. That's what it says. That's what they're saying. That's for the instruction of pilots. They don't often tell the truth. However, sometimes they do. The official narrative. They'll hide reality in plain sight as well. So in the taking a part of the family and making the men look stupid. Not that we need any help with that. The Simpsons, Family Guy, shows like that. Do you get that kind of programming over in the UK as well?
Yeah, I my son's wedding.
Yeah.
Took my granddaughter up to the room, which she loved. I was staying in where the place they were getting married, and Family Man came on, and I suddenly realised I was like, oh, she can't watch this at all. I know she's only small and it's on late and it's meant more for adults, but the stuff that comes out in Family Man, they're insane.
Yeah, and that's all part of a very elaborate programming. American Dad, he's supposed to be a CIA agent. That's another one of those programming. Now, we used to have Leave It to Beaver and yeah, of course, Lost in Space and Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica and all the different programs.
Robert, I'd just like to say that a lot of people in the chat room, when you were showing that footage, were going like, well done, Robert, great, Robert, you know, because that's amazing. And that's only a little tiny bit of what he captures.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's pretty interesting to me. I've got a lot of content that'll show that, but it's well, let me see if I can show you another one of them too. Here, oh, this one is really interesting. Let me expand that a little bit. Yeah.
And a nice cat in it as well.
Yeah, that's Olive. They take turns hanging out with me. This gets really interesting looking, I think.
It goes into the sea, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it doesn't really, but that's kind of what it looks like it's doing. Oh, look at that.
Here we go. Now we're getting into it. See, it looks like similar cloud densities, and the sun just appears to be in the midst of it.
Got a lot of patience, Robert.
Thank you. Let's see. This one I think might be pretty interesting. Now this is more in the summertime because it's coming up over the island now.
Looks a bit like the moon, doesn't it? You know, when you got the moon doing that.
Oh yeah. The mysterious moonrise is a interesting view. That was very cold, and it's the moon coming up out of the ocean. So in the winter on those other videos, it's coming up way over there from this vantage point. And that's why I said you don't feel yourself spinning, wobbling, or gyrating, do you? You know, it's the sun and the moon and the stars that move, not the earth. And many of us are aware of that. Some people maybe aren't sure. There's things that we have to believe because we can't know them. I would say I know we're not on a globe. There's no evidence for it that I trust. All the evidence for the globe is science fiction, and reality exposes that it's not real. The real world, the way things really work, the water and what we observe, um, indicates that we're not moving. The technology that's in the phone that I'm using right now, the accelerometer, gyroscope, and level, all indicates that the non-movement of the Earth. That's technology they didn't have 100 years ago, or not even that long. But certainly, when they were writing the documents about the shape of the Earth and Earth not a globe, they didn't have the technology we do today. Not only to determine it, also to share it. So we've got excellent documentaries that we can share with people that expose the truth about this, as well as video like this right here. I mean, to me, it speaks volumes. I've compiled enough evidence for me to know that we're not on a globe. The evidence is there. However, it's not about the evidence as much as the individual and what will they do with that evidence. Look at the laser beam of that light that's shooting across there. Oh yeah, this one. Let's see.
Horry, sorry, I'm Robert.
Yeah.
Horry Show's joined us. Horry.
Horry.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Hey there. Welcome.
Welcome. I've been listening to you guys. You guys have been doing a great show. You've been showing some interesting sun cloud
Hey Robert, look
pictures.
at Horry.
It's nice to meet you, Robert. I don't know if we've talked before. I gotta.
Hey, that's quite a set you got there.
It's I've been working on this one for a while. It's pretty nice actually up here.
That is awesome. Yeah, where did you get that?
Believe it or not, it's actually pretty easy to replicate this. Oh, it's actually easier to sip beer than anything. I'll tell you that.
That is funny.
But I do. It's a lot of work on the knees to be floating around like this. I'm gonna go ahead and dive down to the second surprise I've got going on now. Oh, much better. Much better. That's what I do, Robert.
I make
so laughs.
Cool. Oh my gosh! Yeah, well, people should be laughing at that.
I love this is what I do on Chat Roulette now, and on other platforms like YouNow. I get on and I guest stream with people and do stuff like this, and they're just like, normally they get people on their webcam just to guest back and forth, friendly thing, but then you get me, and they don't know what's going on, and then I just talk about flat Earth. So
wow, that is so cool. Now, how do you?
Did you like that, Robert? Robert, did you like that?
Oh, totally. I would like to know how to do that, Horry. How do you do that?
It's a green screen, of course, and it's OBS. It's called Open Broadcaster Studio software. It's free. You just stick the picture of the ISS as the background. For this particular shot, it's really just a background picture, and I'm standing around like walking real slowly backwards, and
wow,
kind of just faking it,
Well, that is amazing because that looks.
Good when you put your hand up, Horry.
That's my thing that I grab up here. Everybody, thinks is real because I can pivot on that. It's just a little bit easier to float and reposition myself every now and then. You know what I'm saying?
That is so
wrong
cool.
side of the wall. Pushing the wrong side of the wall.
Well, I think one of the things that's so cool about that, Horry, is that it illustrates how with relatively, I would think, small budget, what does it cost to do that?
To do what I just did, I have a camera that I'm sure you could get cheaper, but it's a nice Logitech Brio that I spent $200 on, and you can do a green screen on the cheap, building it yourself. And if you get 1 or 2 umbrella lights or just have decent lighting, this camera doesn't need like studio lights like I've got going on, blaring this green screen up. Blowing the screen up. So you could probably do it for $250 and have it look just as good as what I did. Yeah.
A few $100s to make a green screen?
Mm-hmm. And you know what? If I hung some cables up here, green cables, that would allow me to flip. And I had like 2 friends that were just like slowly yanking on them suckers every now and then to give me like a floaty, easy peasy.
Wow, that is so cool.
Easy peasy.
That is so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna have a guest on my show, and he's gonna stand next to me. It's one day. I hope to get him JM Truth TV. He's got a channel. He's gonna be making a splash. He's already got a website up. I'm gonna feature it on my next show. But he's a good buddy of mine now, and like he's gonna get on his green screen. I hope he's listening, and he's gonna be like on Skype, and I'm gonna pull his video from a Skype, and I'm gonna stick it in the studio software, and I'm gonna make him appear right next to me. And it's going to look like we're both in the ISS or at least in the same studio, but it's going to blow people's minds to see like, no, he's not even in the same room, That
is cool. Now, what is the name of your YouTube channel?
Mine is the Horry Sheet Show. It's I'll put it up on the screen, and this is what I normally do, Robert. I'm normally behind the desk. I got the little animation there to show you how it's spelled.
Oh, I'm already subscribed to you.
Oh, cool. That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah, you've
Have you
got
not been on? Have you not actually
2.2
met Horry
thousand.
before?
Yeah, I
What's
just hit
that?
2200. What's
But
that
have you
go
not
up?
met Horry before?
I
Wow,
don't think
look
so.
at that. I like that.
Like the wonderful piggy cam flat Earth behind me.
Sure.
Yeah, I love that. It's a makes a nice backdrop. It blends in with the blue studio and the silver. It's actually, I like it. I like it. I'm very proud of that. But I could change out the ad on the front desk, like a little picture of my logo here. I can make animated ads. That TV over there and over there is reflected on the floor, which I think is real snazzy. I can change those too. But it gets a little advanced when you're talking about layering different things to make what I'm making here. But I can play videos on the TV behind me. I can go to like close-up shots. It's really cool what you can do. Like here's a video screen, right next to me that I can at any second just pop in pop a video on, and boom.
Nice.
That's right next to me. It should be. I don't know what it looks like there on the screen because it's hard for me to do this. And there we go. Yeah, so I can do it about like this.
You
Well,
look
it's coming
good.
through nice and clean. That looks good.
Mm-hmm.
So, what camera are you using to show the TV?
So that is just a blank picture. Actually, it's the this studio set, but zoomed in to this side where that TV is. But I took that TV and I covered it up. So you can see the corner of the desk right here below me. I just zoomed in, and I covered that TV with this TV. So it's just another fake TV. And anything like my video that I'm playing is just a small layer over this TV in the gray area. And it starts playing on the TV as soon as I open a video file.
Wow.
Yeah. So it took a little practice, of course, to actually, set it all up. But once it's set up, you got to just make sure your windows are on the right screen and stuff, and which I didn't do a minute ago. That's why it was a little sloppy. But yeah, I'll teach anybody how to do this if they have the time and at least the skill set to do it. That's part of what I do is I'm trying to help people that want to get their word out, do it, and step up their game. If they like what I do, I can tell you how I did it. And that's it's not for me to be like, hey guys, look at all the cool stuff I can do. No, it's not.
Right.
It's not like that. But I hope to inspire people. I walk all over the internet trying to inspire people to
Now on your do you have a video that you actually do like a training of how you just did what you did, like how you're in the Tesla? That is a classic right there, just what you just did with that.
This is pretty easy. Believe it or not, this picture of the car, I just took it straight out of a still frame of the actual video, the best shot that I wanted. I took a screen capture, cut it out, and then that's just a picture. And then I made it so that I can put myself right behind the car. And there was one other element that really sealed the deal. I think it's the back seat right here behind me.
Yeah.
This back seat is actually behind me. So that's why when I move my back or my hand, it covers the back seat. You see, if
cool.
Without that, it would look more like this every time I'm on the seat. With like the corners cutting into me. But like this, it's like I got the seat behind me still. So there's a little trickery there, but it's just two pictures, the car and some fake back seat. And then behind all that is right now just black. You could this is how it was in the video. It looks so real. It looks so fake because it's so real. What was it? What was that quote?
Oh,
it's real because it looks so fake. Yeah. Well, this is how it looked. But what's actually back there is a video. It's an 1.5 hour long video playing of random stuff. Right now, the Tooth Fairy is getting shot by Cartman in a diaper. You'll see that happen in just a second.
Wow.
But it's got stars come in and out just to give the effect of what it would look like for the stars. He goes,
yeah, you had a little, that is funny.
You never know what's up here in space. I think they could have launched anything, right?
Well, the idea of putting yourself in the ISS, I thought was so brilliant in that, here you are, just I'm not going to say an average guy. It's just that
I'm an average guy. Yeah, I didn't learn it professionally. I didn't go to college for this.
It actually, what's the difference between Horry standing there and what they show you?
Nothing, unless they do a backflip. They're hanging from something the whole time, and of course, they got stuff that can float, but it's a trick. It's some kind of trick. We don't know how they're doing it. So people think it's VR stuff. The microphone floats around and stuff. There's something that they're doing, but with graphics nowadays, you just can't tell that it's fake. I mean, photorealistic 3D rendered real-time environments now, guys. Photorealistic means it's going to capture all the reflections, all the surfaces will reflect off each other, the light and how it, fades. And I mean, all this stuff can be done in real time and live streamed. So it's
like
really
when I
hard
was listening to an ad yesterday that came on a video that I was watching, and I forget which one it was. Of what it said was a TV with AI. Okay, so not only are they using artificial intelligence for the programming, I had never heard. It was the first I heard of AI being in the TV as well. Now the iPhone 10 that I'm on says it has. They say it has AI in it, and it's becoming, just all part of the communications network that we're on right now. It's fully aware of what we're up to, and I'm not freaked out about it. That's part of the thing. Like on my video playlist, there's some compelling documentaries that I've shared. I didn't produce them. I just found them, and then I share them. And on my live broadcast, sometimes I'll mention, artificial intelligence in the different topics, the big ones, the financial system, the medical system, the toxification, the drugging of humanity. It's a full spectrum assault on humanity.
Yeah.
The mind, the body, the soul, it's all going down. And that's pretty much where, some people are awake to it, and some people would rather just make fun of the messengers.
Right, the conspiratards, that's what they call them.
Yeah. Well, part of
just people who say that word tells me everything I need to know. Like, oh, that's a closed-minded individual. Because once you look at one quote unquote conspiracy, and you were like, oh wow, oh man, they were right about this one. Well, what are you gonna do? Duh, look at another one. You're gonna find out that there's two, but maybe not with lizard men or human cloning yet. But maybe you will. Maybe you did more research than me. I'm just saying. 9/11, if you come to 9/11 and you still think it's real and we got the right story, I don't even want to talk to you.
Yeah.
But, if you say conspiratard because you got people that are going ham on trying to promote all these things that you really cannot prove, I can see where you'd use the word conspiratard. But no, man, I get you. I get what you're saying.
Well, and part of the benefit that we have and this group right now and the hangout has to do with connecting us so that we can interact with one another. And so this is beneficial, as well as the interaction by liking and sharing and all of that of the different content that we find and or produce. And it's a sense of community that it's not going to happen in the general public much. I mean, some people are awake to this, but the odds of bumping into, okay, so like, for example, I was on the pier where I've done some of the videography and photography, and after a couple of seconds of talking, this lady says, I love you already. We're flat earthers. I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like kind of interesting. They were visiting from North Carolina, and I don't know how they came into this, but it was just very interesting to meet somebody, face to face. Now I did. That's my wife, Joni. I'm going to end up having to take that call sometime. I forgot to turn my do not disturb on, so I'm being disturbed. But anyway, I met a gentleman David Perry, who lives about 2 hours from here. He went on Operation Deep Freeze for real in the real world, and not just. And he's the right age, and we talked about it a little bit, and he said we'll need to get together, and I wanted to do like a live broadcast with him if he feels comfortable with that. Maybe it'll be a recorded broadcast or a recording where we can then post that. But it's pretty
Deep freeze.
Interesting.
Can you tell me? I've read about it, but I don't remember exactly what. Was this the trip to Antarctica when they were breaking through stuff with the boat?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and he was there for like a couple of weeks.
Wow.
And I wanted to find out more about that. I said, so did the plane you fly in have windows? He said, no windows.
Oh.
No windows for them to see. I said, really? You know, and in the category of evaluating information, there's conspicuous by its presence, and then also conspicuous by its absence. You know, some of the information, you know, like in 9/11, Muhammad Atta's boarding pass coming out of a supposed fireball of a plane hitting a building. That's how funny. Imagine that, if you can believe that. It's even on one of the newscasters says, if you can believe that. They even say that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then we see the Pentagon get hit by, all we see is a fireball. So in that category, it would be conspicuous by its absence. We get the most surveilled building in the world, and we get a fireball. And then we've got a bunch of missing plane wreckage, bodies, and black boxes. Where'd all that go?
Yeah, where's the black boxes?
Black boxes. We get a hole in the ground and no bodies, and
no plane, no pictures of plane parts anywhere.
There wasn't any planes.
Where's the
Yeah, so there was and it's hard for people to get their mind around how big of a lie that is. And then when you get into the fake shootings and all that stuff.
Yeah, don't say any names.
Yeah, and so part of what this is, there's a dynamic of just exposing the level of deception, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I have all the answers on how the sun and the moon work and the tides work and all that. I would simply say, hey, the water covers the face of the earth. It doesn't stick to a spinning ball. Undisturbed water is flat and level. It means that the official narrative of the supposed experts are lying. We didn't go to the moon. We certainly didn't come from monkeys. We still got monkeys. And so when we look at that, I'll sometimes drop in on a post like a Bill Nye post or a DeGrasse Tyson or something like that, and I'll say evolution and the globe are science fiction, or water exposes the global eye, and I'll let them chew on that.
And then you get blocked, don't you?
Well, not necessarily, not blocked as far as I know. See, this is part of where the artificial AI is so elaborate that it'll let me see my comment. I'm probably the only, I can see it, and maybe the person who posted or made the video can see it, but it's not on the thread there for anybody else to see. Like, Horry, did you see where PewDiePie and Triggered Troll are making fun of me?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, the PewDiePie video is somewhere around 5,100,000 views. He
I did hear about that video. I heard about it, but yeah.
Yeah. He's making fun of me, saying we don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool that soundbite went out there. For somebody if somebody is interested in learning and finding out, if they have curiosity is a catalyst for consideration. It means that there's a little bit of an opening happening in the mind or the heart. It's like, you know what? I could have been lied to. Let's put that a different way. I know I've been lied to.
Mhm.
It's just did I believe it? Did I get sucked into it? And the answer for me was absolutely. I didn't see it coming. I and that was part of
Yeah.
it, you know. So when I put a picture of a school bus on its way to school and a water tower in the background, and the reflection off of the flat water, it's and then I'll post videos to explain a little bit of what we're looking at, or I might just put my YouTube channel in the description of the photo, and then feature a couple of other things that people can use to access the data. So, for example, if I try and share to 101 groups, it's gonna Facebook will lock me out for a week or better,
Yeah.
maybe a
Yeah.
couple of weeks. Now I've got thousands of editions of my photo album out there, and thousands of my YouTube channel link out there as well. So when I add, let's say, a photo to my photo album and I copy some more links in there, it just keeps on, it adds it to all my photo albums. That's all the issues or editions of my photo album that's out there. I had somebody it was a photography group on Facebook. I sent my photo album to it, and the admin for the group gave me the angry face. And I'm like, what are you angry about? He said, that's too many photos. I said, well, I can just leave the group. That's okay. I'm sorry you couldn't just scroll by. It's like, well, and in the photos there's also a lot of data. When my son David, our son David, taught me how to copy and paste, I said this world will never be the same. And part of what it is there's a bit of strategy involved in it. I can copy and paste the data onto my photos or the videos that I've produced. If I put my phone number in a comment on, let's say, a PewDiePie video or one of these others, and my picture shows up, I'm the trench coat guy. So, like, if I'm gonna turn my camera off, and that's the picture of me at the Flat Earth Conference, and I just put my business card in there. So that's my YouTube channel for the Facebook audience, and it's just kind of a cross pollination of information. People can do with that whatever they want, and part of this, there's a purging process that happened pretty heavily. I remember when it first occurred. Maybe you can reflect on what it was like for you.
Oh
When I
yeah.
first came out about flat Earth, there was a mass exodus from my friend group. I like lost 50 people or so went away. They wanted to find out what church I belonged to so they could contact the leadership there and reel me in. And I'm like, I don't think you understand how this works out. A lot of the churches are co-opted by a false religious system as well. So I'm a Bible believing Christian that's actually born again, not a hypocrite like I used to be. And so when these people started going away, I started accepting the friend requests that were out there. And then what happened too is I've got flat earth friends and truther friends that I only have a couple of mutual friends with, as well as hundreds of friends. And I use that as a strategy as well. So if somebody decides they want to bounce and go somewhere else, I would go to my Sun in the Clouds video that's got 600,000 views, and I would click on adding people that loved it, liked it. I just don't go with the angry faces or the mockers. I've had enough of those. Those people can deal with it in their. And here's one of the other things. Since I don't know if you heard me talking about Eva, my automated AI person to help, or entity to help me with my auto pay on my American Express. I'm convinced that there's auto chatbots that are AI as well, correct?
There was a video recently where somebody, was doing a seminar, and they were testing this exact thing you're talking about, and somebody made a phone call and placed an order for something, like ordered plane tickets or something pretty complex. It wasn't too simple, and the voice inflection or whatever of the AI bot was so lifelike. I mean, you couldn't tell it wasn't a real person, and even
I saw
knowing,
this. I saw the same video, Horry. Not only was that an AI, it took the voice of a real individual that didn't even. I believe it said, what did it say? Like less than 10 seconds of audio from a person, and they could basically put it together.
Is that what it was? I don't remember that part, but I just
Yeah, it was
wow.
one person was speaking into a mic, and they were able to produce from that sound sampling. They were able to create a whole dialogue, or a monologue, I should say, that didn't even have those words in it. It was really something else.
I
So
can
when
see
we're
that. I
yeah,
can see how that's done. Yeah.
so when we're like doing what we're doing right now, or as much as we've been on YouTube, there's so much content. That's why I was saying, I don't know if you heard me say this. PewDiePie making fun of me in his first flat Earth video was a compliment. Leaving me alone in the second video was a bigger compliment, because I gave him plenty of meme worthy data. I sent it right through his the proper channels, as well as put the link in comments. But see, like, I don't think other people can see the comments. So here's part of the thing, and part of the reason why I like my own. I typically love my own comments. I love what I do. It's just plain and simple. I love what I do. I love what I see God doing in and through me. So that's why I do that at one level. And then the other level is, if I copy and paste on, let's say, the flat Earth, infinite Earth post that has my local sun video, sometimes it'll take the link, and other times it'll say this link was automatically deleted. So I know that it's not there for anybody else to see. So that's where I can put my phone number. If I just drop in on a thread, and I just put my phone number there, curiosity gets people. They want to see what's up with that. So they'll come over to my YouTube channel if it's on a YouTube video, or if it's on Facebook, I can put it there. And then I'm not creeping on one individual. It's like I'm creeping on all of you. I'm trolling you all. I'm here for everybody. It's because I care for you. And that's pretty much what I'll do with that. You know what? I understand that this is a battle. Truth is the main weapon, and so is deception. And the advantage with the truth is, ultimately, I believe, the way the truth and the life is the God who created this whole world and experience that we live in. And the challenge in all this is there's a lot of hatred for the creator, so to speak. And I understand, like, some believe that we're in a simulation. Horry, where would you put yourself in as if you don't mind my asking, or even if you do, I'm just kind of curious. What would you say how you believe we came about here in this world?
I'm leaning more towards there's a source, there's one thing that made uh, probably everything, but at least there's one consciousness, like central consciousness, if you will, we come from, and we depart from that with some. It's like a contract that it's like a set of things that you're trying to accomplish in this incarnation. So I do believe in reincarnation. I believe we keep coming back here to learn different things. Maybe we're learning for the collective. We're experiencing and everything we experience in everyday life, and it's being like re-downloaded back to source. Or maybe that's not what's going on, but we certainly seem to have there's something more to this world than just our bodies, and that's it. Like, I've gone out of my body and walked through walls, saw people on the other side and told them about it several times. I mean, that to me shattered everything I thought this world was, and certainly took away my fear of death, because it's just a hell of a lot of fun. So I'm like, I'm stuck with that. I'm stuck with that belief system based a lot on personal experience, or at least maybe the reincarnation part is based on personal experience.
Interesting. Yeah, and I I know that there's an aspect of my belief system, or what I believe, that's based on experience before and after what I would say would be some serious life-changing events, and that's part of the deal. And then there's, as we pour over data or input, we're exposed to exercises in critical thinking. If like the law of non-contradiction, like if we look at something that we know to be true and something else contradicts it, well, then the contradictory input is false. It's just, that's part of the dynamic. So I'll give you an example. Water flies off a tennis ball, boats float on the ocean, boats don't float upside down on the bottom of a spinning, wobbling ball.
Right.
And yet, like my wife says, I believe in gravity. I said, where did you get that? Where did you get that? Oh, Sir Isaac Newton was a Christian Scientist. Really? You believe that? Occultist, alchemist, Mason. Did you know that? It was funny because my sister-in-law was all excited to see George W. Bush on a Super Bowl clip. I said, do you have any, I didn't even say it to her at the time. I said, do you realize he's a member of the Skull and Bones? And he was up to his eyeballs into 9/11 and the false pretense for blowing up a bunch of innocent people, and then killing them through disease and lack of sanitation and all of that with the Iraq Desert Fox or Desert Storm, whichever, all of this stuff that's going on. And so, like, my wife says to me, my sister knew you were born again when she met you. I said, are you kidding? I wasn't born again then. I was born again about 3.5 years ago. And by the way, I don't trust her spiritual discernment. She likes George W. Bush.
Yeah,
and
deal
Dick
breaker.
Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld. And I'm like, I wouldn't trust my kitties with those people. I wouldn't trust, and that's part of the part when the veil gets lifted and we can see more of what's going on. I don't see that there's any going back to the way that it was, where we are living in this fog of deception
You know, once we're aware of the battle that we're in, or more of it, or the level of deception that's going on, even if I am mostly unplugged from the mainstream programming, even at that, I'm still interacting with a humanity that is largely massively affected by the toxification of their bodies, their minds, through the chemicals that are going in and on their bodies, and in the input that they're looking at. And that's part of it. And then the other part of it, we can't even see. They're outright talking right now on like Curiosity Stream with Michio Kaku about interfacing with wireless broadcasting right into your brain.
Oh, are they really?
Absolutely.
Oh, well, you know what Kathy O'Brien, you know who Kathy O'Brien is, and I think his name's Mark Phillips.
Very familiar. I'm sure I've seen him.
So the MK Ultra woman that came out, and the agent
yeah.
that was working on the technology that saved her. That's who those two people are. So they're making speeches and stuff around everywhere they go. And one of the things Mark says is you can basically go to Radio Shack when they were still in business and buy components, simple components, and create a device that, for example, could be used as an alarm system in this kind of manner. Like, let's say I had it in my shirt pocket. Yeah, it could be that small, he said. And I can ask you, what's 2 + 2? And you're going to tell me, well, 4, right? Well, if I turn it on and I was like, well, now what's 1 + 1? And you're going to, and you're not going to know. It's going to destroy your ability to logically think, because it's sending like a frequency out to a certain radius, however it's able to amp from, however much power it has, I guess, is its reach. But it stops. It messes with that hertz signal, whatever frequency or hertz your signal, your brain's working on, and it stops logical thinking. So if it was an alarm system, it would be something that it wouldn't make a beep, 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 or nothing like that. It would be a silent alarm. And let's say a burglar would come in with a plan of action to steal stuff, or his meticulous plan. He'd be fumbling around, not even sure where the hell he's at, what he's supposed to be doing. You come home, you'd be like, "What's up?" And he'd be like, "Hey,
What's for dinner?
Who are you? What am I doing?" Yeah. So, I mean, can you imagine 5G cell phone towers? The technology it's already being used.
Well,
That's
and
freaky.
I've got it's funny you should mention that. I've got a 5G router in my house. It shows up on that's the router I use to upload stuff with.
Hit it with a hammer, Robert. Kill it. Kill it now.
Well, the 5G that I have isn't as big of a deal as when there's autonomous weapons that are connected to it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, do you remember, you're a bit, are you like in your mid 30s or so?
Early 30s. Mm-hmm.
Early 30s. So when I was growing up in the 70s, I'm 56 now. Charlton Heston was in a movie called Soylent Green. It's kind of like a classic. Did you ever see it?
Actually, it's on my to watch list right there by Dark City. Because of conspiracy stuff that I've now researched. So what is it's like eating people or whatever?
Well, yeah, Charlton Heston comes to the realization that Soylent Green is people. But then, so think of that. And then we've got Monty Python rolling a cart around, bring out your dead. Oh, I'm not quite dead yet. They're
I haven't seen any
out...
Monty Pythons, but I need to.
Oh, that's a classic too. That's some of the gallows humor of looking at the system that we're in.
Okay, that's why I didn't get it. Like, I tried to watch it, but I'm like, it's not funny. Like, if I go and watch it with that understanding, maybe I'll get it.
I think you would see it a bit different. Okay. Now, what we had happen recently within the last couple of months, we now have an automated trash
pickup system, automated as in there's no longer a ground guy and an operator of the truck. The operator of the truck now uses a hydraulic arm to pick up the trash. So there's less human interaction.
Half the jobs now.
Right now there's an automated driving system that can pick up people and take them where they want to go, and that's online right now, and it's in Humanity. And Uber has talked about going automated driving systems as well. This other one, I forget what the name of it was, but it's very sophisticated. It's not just a camera, it's way more. These are not normal vehicles, but that technology could be put on a garbage truck or a tank or a MRAP or whatever. You know, these
a machine gun with wheels.
Yeah, a little gallows humor here. And so some of this stuff we could see unroll soon. I mean, when a few months ago I went to get a Hershey bar, and all of a sudden I'm at a Walmart, and I'm looking at myself on a video camera as I'm at the scan and go cashless only system, and
they
I'm
got
thinking,
your eyeball shape, retina color. That's it. You're in the system now. You looked at it, gotcha.
Oh yeah, and so, you know, some people think, oh, I'm gonna be off the grid for a while. I'm gonna leave my cell phone at home. What are you gonna do? Go into a hole somewhere? Because if you go anywhere in public, they talked about Myrtle Beach. They just rolled out thousands of cameras all over the place in Myrtle Beach. So, you know, we've got a very surveilled society worldwide. I remember walking into the Dollar General a quarter of a mile down the road, and it had a camera. I could see myself walking in the store. I said, does that go to the corporate office too? She said, oh yeah. Oh yeah. So it's not just the corporate office, like there's some guy drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes, and watching monitors. It's the artificial intelligence of the world.
It's on the cloud, man. Yeah.
The
cloud changed technology in such a way to allow everybody, whether they know it or not, to get connected to this AI that's being now presented and rolled out, and everything. I mean, look at these little Alexas, these little devices that are like hockey pucks that you can stick somewhere. Be like, Alexa, how much are golf balls at the Dollar General? And it'd be like, your local Dollar General is selling golf balls for $2.99 per 6-pack. You know, and it's like, great, thanks.
Well, I had a happening that I thought was really interesting. It was a few months ago. I had never clicked on an Uber ad. I never Googled Uber. I have a friend who's an Uber driver, and I saw her at the beach, and I asked her about it. And I had my cell phone on me, and she was showing me on her cell phone the program, the driver program and compensation. When I get home to upload my video or my photos and video that I took at the beach, all of a sudden I'm starting to get Uber ads on my Facebook, and so the AI knew that my phone was next to her phone in a close enough proximity that it's time for me to get the ads, right? So it's so far beyond what a lot of people would even care to think about. So they want their banquet chicken in the oven. Give me the channel changer and a little mindless television. Yeah.
Give them bread and circus.
There you go. There you go.
My wife just said that the other day. We were sitting out to eat at a restaurant, and they had 6 LCD screen TVs, big old perfect flat screen TVs, and they were playing this news broadcast. I mean, it was a sports broadcast. I was talking about football or something, and there's this guy in this spick and span perfect suit. The camera's focused directly on him, and then like you can tell how perfectly choreographed this is. And they like move the camera over just a half inch real slowly, and then a graphic pops in on the side now because he's not front and center. And so like they're keeping us distracted. They're monitoring us. They're cutting our jobs. They're poisoning us. There's all these things. I mean, yeah, if you look into it, it's not good. And they don't show any sign of making life cheaper and easier. Honestly, that's not happening when they take our jobs away and give robots, give the robots. I mean, nobody's making more money because of that, because it's easier for everybody. I mean, come on. How we could actually live a wonderful life if robots did everything for us and we live like kings, because that's what it could allow at the cost of us being like almost stupid and lazy as hell. But that would be your choice. But they're doing this wrong. They're letting people become lazy and stupid and killing us because we're stupid. And you see exactly what's going on.
Well, and that's part of it seems to be part of the equation that there's, the truth is coming out about this. And so there are people that are going to tell the truth about this, and then there will still be a massive amount of humanity that's not going to want to hear it. And so I've got a video called Flat Earth Debate Anyone. And I'm not kidding. I would debate anyone on it. It doesn't mean that I'm the sharpest tool in the shed. It just means that I believe that the truth is more powerful than the deception. And so I do understand that I've got a very narrow audience. It's not really the message that I share is so exclusive in that it's biblical Christianity, and it's not going to appeal to a lot of people that are so hacked off. We've been lied to on epic proportions at every level, that one more apparent control mechanism of the Bible, and no thanks. I don't want that either. Well, I understand there's an aversion to that. I get that. I just don't know where else I would go, since my life was so radically changed, and I looked into this. So that's where I go with this, basically, is I believe God's word is true and all others are suspect. So it's more than believing in, let's say, for example, a shape of the world. It's the belief system that talks about the mark of the beast coming in Revelation 13. I remember when I first heard about that, Horry, it was in like 1982. I thought, that's before we had answering machines or credit cards.
Right.
How are we going to be able to live in a world that has commerce without money?
It's before we had internet. Really?
Before we had it. Now I've got a friend that lives
right.
I've got a friend who
the
lives
military's first. Right?
Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. I've got Jerry Reed as a friend of mine. He's 88 years old. He was on computers like 60 years ago, or I forget how many years ago it was. But he worked in the Defense Department with subcontractors for weapons. So he had an exposure that's earlier, and imagine this, he's lost his mind. Okay, I've got a friend who who lives down the road. Her dad designed and developed the Apache helicopter fire rockets and weapons where you look. He's lost his mind.
He was erased as well. That's a shame.
Yeah. So that's conspicuous by its absence. What happened to these people? They lose their minds. So do they do that just to certain individuals? Well, if you have a steady diet, that happened to my dad. He loved watching Fox News. He lost his mind, but he got on. It wasn't just Fox News. It was the fact that he was being pandered to by the pharmaceutical industry, and he needed some of the drugs that they were advertising because he was so stressed out about the world that he saw on the TV, right? So it's that's all part of the elaborate control grid. Now I'm about to jump into one that I talked to Karen about earlier today, and it's a big deal. I believe it started a long time ago, back in the Garden of Eden. The control between men and women, that's been going on for a long time. So marketing largely involves affirmation from the opposite sex, and in some cases the same sex. They're sexually charging the marketing system of the world. They're engorging the population with hormones to engorge the population with added padding and sexual desire for some, and a drugging of humanity to remove it for others. It's a doggone freak show we're living in. So that's part of the drugging of humanity. And part of what people are unaware of is the sexual stimulation visually that happens not only with outright pornography, but just the marketing of products through the sexualization of that enhances or changes the physiology of people. It's a drug as well. So it's all pretty. We've got youth that are going into puberty way younger than ever in history, right? Do you know about it? That's part of the issue. So the control, like they'll put the pretty girls selling the stuff, or the pretty people marketing the products, the timeshares or the houses, or you've got the model looking individuals marketing the stuff, so that if you stay in line and you go along with the lie, with the deception, you'll get rewarded with superficial baubles and trinkets and maybe a life of ease and maybe some pleasure. Step out of line, you're not going to do well in your job. You'll get called into human resources. You may lose your marriage. You're going to get cancer. You can't lose your insurance. So you don't want to rock the boat at the job to lose your health care, right? Well, it's all very complicated. The whole thing is well, if you look at Tavistock Institute and Aldous Huxley and 1984 and all the different things that basically spelled out a lot of how this works. You're familiar with some of the names I just mentioned, right?
I have heard of Tavistock, but it's just names I might have heard in a documentary, but I haven't done my own research, and I fail to remember what exactly they come from. But it's familiar. Some of those, yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of the deal. I mean, when we're just walking around looking at humanity, they're preoccupied with issues of little to no significance, right? Very distracted.
Absolutely. I mean, people just want to talk about, guns and cars and or whatever's on the news, or maybe it's just politics. Or if it's politics, I mean, that's I guess it's better than everything else I just mentioned, but still not if you're trapped in it. It's a big circus, but it's people they're not full of substance anymore. That's for sure.
Well, and it's kind of like that area is pretty much the illusion of choice, as is a lot of what we a lot of what we're dealing with. So the truth is going to sound the truth is going to sound largely crazy to those that are deceived and believe that it's false. When they hear the truth and it sounds crazy to them, it's proof that they're deceived by those that are not deceived. So like when my wife is not just unaware that we're not on a globe, she's unaware of so much of what we've talked about. And it's gotten to the point where her misplaced priorities put more of an interest to her living by our sons 1,000 miles from here. And I keep telling her, I said, when you keep saying you're going to move there, I said, that doesn't create any motivation for them to come back here. They live in Wisconsin right now. They're going to visit in July for 10 days. I said, you know, you would serve yourself better by just deciding to stay here. But she doesn't love the truth. She gives lip service to it. A lot of people do. The truth is pretty ugly when you think about it in some cases. I mean, the situation.
What's happened and the way they've done it, where it all is. It is ugly.
Yeah, it is. And I would rather believe the truth than. What's that?
I wasn't sure if Horry was going to answer you.
What specifically?
Oh, sorry. I think you were there. You unmuted, and I thought you were going to add something to Robert, but never mind. Sorry, carry on, Robert.
I'm listening.
Well, one of the questions that I had, Horry, is it sounds like your wife is aware of a lot of what's going on. Would you say that's the case?
Yes, in a nutshell. I mean, both of us intuitively knew that this world is screwed up. I knew this at a very early age, but I didn't consciously do anything about it until very, very recently, till 2015. But I always knew, boy, there's something wrong. And I would look at, the presidents, and I would have these creepy feelings. And I was intuitively like, I'm able to like get vibes from people. And I'm like, gosh, I just don't feel anything good from like all these people I see that are supposedly ruling the world. And then all these things I hear, 9/11, and I'm like, man, somebody's really messing up. How does this even happen? Like I started putting it together in late high school, but now I'm, 32, and I mean, I came to this flat Earth stuff with my wifey here, 2015, a couple of years ago, and she was like me. She always knew the world was screwed up, but when I told her about flat Earth, this was 6 months into my research. I was doing 8 hours a day to 12 hours a day, or sometimes 24-hour binges of flat Earth content for 6 months straight. I should have like 2 PhDs or whatever. But, I was doing that. I told her at 6 months in, and I'm like, babe, I'm kind of like, I've been doing way too much research on this. I'm not sold yet, but what about this, that, this, and that? And she was like, oh my God. And 2 more months later, I was like, let me bring something else to the table. And I told her a bunch more, and I was like, I'm done. This Earth's flat. There's no going back now. So it took me 8 months. It took her 2 weeks, because she heard everything that I condensed and, I summarized, just like I do with my show. When I was doing all that research, that's what the Flat Earth Digest is on the Horry Sheet Show. It's me researching my butt off. And people don't have time to watch 3-4 hour long podcasts. They just don't, but they would love to. Well, what I do is I've watched the 3-4 hour long podcasts, and I cut them out and make them about 20-25 minutes long, give a bunch of teasers and say, all right, if you want the full version, there it is. But I drop proofs, all the best nuggets that they've dropped in their 3 to 4 hour long podcast. I drop in my hour long show, but I cover like 10 channels, 20 channels. So wow. it gives people an idea of what's being said, what the latest proofs are, who's saying it, where their channel is. That's what I do for Flat Earth. And I just put out another show for you guys who didn't know. I've been out of the Flat Earth news reporting for a good 2 months. I had some relationship stuff to deal with. I just put out a big whopping, it was like 2 hour long plus show. It's jam-packed with everything I had to catch up on for the past 2 months. So if you're out of the loop, go check it out. It was a live show last night, and I'm going to do more, hopefully one every week or two. but shorter, much shorter.
What's the title of that one, Horry?
If you just type in the Flat Earth Digest Live, I have 2 episodes, and I'm working on the 3rd one now. And
I'm gonna want to check that out. It's interesting how we can, like for me, I watch some and I create some, and I share a lot of different videos. I think like I mentioned, my liked video list now is up to like 950 some videos, and it's amazing what we can share. And you're so right. Some of the content would take a long time to watch. Here's the thing, though. We can watch a movie and think not too much of it, right?
Oh yeah, lots of times.
And that's the way it used to be for me. Now, there was a clip that I had seen for a video called Unsane. Did you see the movie?
No, I'm not a big movie watcher, believe it or
Well,
not.
neither am I. I used to be.
Especially
This
not
one
now.
was a little well, this one was a little bit different in that because of my psychiatric history, I was diagnosed with bipolar and survived a dozen years and 16 meds and a couple of involuntary hospitalizations. This was about a woman apparently involuntarily committed, or she voluntarily committed, and then it turned into an involuntary commitment when she was there. But it was interesting, and I watched it. My wife rented it, and I just thought it was interesting. And what I came away with, that I believe it was all in her head, and I could have it wrong, but it was interesting just the same. But anyway, it was like her worst fears lived out in what may have just been a fantasy. I don't know for sure, but here's the thing that I do know. Did you ever see the movie A Beautiful Mind?
No, but I almost did. Yeah, I
It's a
remember it coming out and I wanted to see it, but I totally forgot about it.
it's an absolute classic, and it was about Jonathan Nash, and he was nominated and received the Nobel Prize, and for his theories on, I believe it was, they used his findings for international bargaining, for treaties, and all kinds of real lofty activity. Well, anyway, that movie, he was treated as a schizophrenic, which is what bipolar on the high end, manic is where I kind of lived for quite a while. Well, I wasn't schizophrenic, but the two are real close together. Anyway, when they wrote the movie that he stayed on medication. The right before I got off of all the drugs, I Googled it and found out that they left him on the drugs only in the movie. Reality was he wouldn't take them. And that's when he started doing much better. So that was part of it. And then for me too, Robin Williams apparently committed suicide a couple of weeks before I was actually born again. That was right leading up to it. What's interesting about that, my brother did a plaster cast of Robin Williams. My brother did a plaster cast of me too. He lived in Hollywood.
Wow.
So did I. That was like another lifetime ago. But it was interesting because he was diagnosed with bipolar, struggled on and off medications. So this whole, when I was out there in California, I met celebrities, Martin Sheen, talked with him for a while, met a lot of very interesting people. Well, part of the dynamic with all this is the way that people can get enamored with fortune and fame and kind of lose their soul, so to speak. I mean, we see it in those that have apparently gone to the dark side, right? It gets pretty weird.
We see the people with their puppet handlers, or at least it looks like it. You see these actors. What the hell are they doing? Where they walk like 1 mile per hour to their like limo? Like I'm talking, who was it? Gaga.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga was like walking like this to her car. Like, what the hell? What is this stuff that they're doing? It almost looks like a ritual. You see people like falling down, like Johnny Depp's like passing out in public, like falling over. I mean, what's going on? You see these people on the news. I got bug flying around like a moth. I'm waving at it in case anybody's wondering why I'm swinging wildly at the air. But there's there's people that are doing news broadcasts, and I don't know what his name is, but he's a black man. He's standing out like at the award ceremony, and it's 3 people, and he's got the mic, and he starts talking. And he's like blah 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 blah, and then something stops him dead in his tracks. Somebody says a word. It's like a keyword.
That's Al Roker.
Al Roker. Yeah. You remember that's the one. And he
I saw the clip.
He just goes into like robot stare and freezes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, what's going on? You know?
Hey, can I just say something, Robert? Have you seen he's standing in front of something else now?
Oh, Robert, yeah, I wanted to.
Let me.
I wanted to tell you that this is the old. If you looked up the Flat Earth Digest stuff, you'll see me doing my pre-recorded shows up until I do the Flat Earth Digest live. So I learned a lot about this is the set that I was doing it in when I did the pre-recorded stuff. So I just moved it over to the live stuff. But I was just showing you a completely different set. In case you see me in this, you'll be like, what is this? I thought he had the CNN news studio. Well, now I have both.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Again, the video, I could play videos behind me. I have another scene right here where I'm standing off like
Robert,
here.
do you like the rug?
Oh, look at the rug. It's what it says. What it says is NASA logo, we lie like a rug. But on the right and the left, there's 2 clown shoes, 2 pairs of clown shoes. It says wipe your feet with the arrows pointing towards the NASA logo. If I could get it, I'll pop a picture up. Everybody can, they love it. See if I can find it in my folder. But I'm just, I'm taking my skills and I'm putting them to
Horry, can I just ask you something? That's not the Hangout link on there, is it?
I don't think so.
I'm just checking. I just took it off for a moment. It's gone now anyway.
I wouldn't have even mentioned it, really. But, well, I guess we'll know in a second. That wasn't an intentional thing, though, by the way. But here's the rug. We lie like a rug. NASA, wipe your feet.
That is funny. Well, I really like what you've done with the cinematography. The ISS, I find that one there was absolutely brilliant. That is so cool. To be able to put that together, or the Tesla. I love that. Well, it helps people to see if you can do that, what can they do with $52 million a day and a whole bunch of deceived people unaware that they're participating in the biggest mind screw ever been perpetrated on humanity?
Yeah, it's really one of those things where if I just had a couple of friends with me, I would be able to do so much more than I'm doing right now. And we couldn't tell at home, especially if I had added some photorealistic elements to the background. Now I could make it even more realistic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be, you know how they have that woman that's standing there and she's floating and then she reaches up out of nowhere and grabs some stuffed animal from the corner of the video?
Yeah.
I could basically do that right now. I know exactly how to do that. It's easy. Yeah.
Now you're just for your movement, you're just slowly moving around, moving a little bit, right?
Very slowly walking and tiptoeing and bending my knees to go down And if I see myself
It
getting
looks
too close
really
to the
good,
wall,
Horry.
push it out the way and slowly walk backwards. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is brilliant. I love that.
It hurts. It's actually pretty difficult exercise. That's why I grab onto this thing. So I'm like, I can like rest a little bit. It's fun though. So yeah.
Well, I'm definitely going to be cruising by your channel and scoping out your videos, probably sharing them.
Feel free to mirror anything. Drop a link to my channel in your vid description. Mirror it. Copy and paste the descriptions because I have all the links to all the videos I talk about, like very nicely organized. So feel free to mirror, copy and paste the description, whatever you want to do. Just link to my original channel is all I ask. You know.
Sure. So, like
Hey,
for example, if
he does something else, Robert. He does something else, don't you? Smack.
Yes. The next thing is my favorite, and I'm gonna be doing a lot of this later. Oh, Superman's coming by. I don't know if you guys saw that. Every now and then.
I like that.
But yeah, I flat smack people. So I guess I did mention it. I get on chat roulette and stuff like that, and people see me in the Tesla, and the people that do stick around, like for instance, it was 3 or 4 in the morning. I know what you're talking about now, Karen, and I'll get to that. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning on chat roulette after I went through the first 25 guys that were. Can you imagine what they're trying to do on chat roulette? Yeah, I bet you can. Just yeah. So go through those guys, or they skip me, right? Because as soon as they get on there and they're messing with themselves, I'm like, oh, what you got there, buddy? And then they're like, oh. Trying to click off, you know. But after about 20 of those, then I get a guy from Tunisia or whatever country that is. 4 in the morning for me, it's sunny noon to them, and he's a physics student. And we start talking physics and Earth and rotation and space and rocket science. And I gave this dude a lot to think about. Of course, you know what he had for us?
What's that?
Mathematics. Nothing but numbers and equations and scientists that have had their theories. And I'm like, but it's all theories. It's all numbers. It's nothing. None of that can be proven. None of it has been proven in a lab. It's all. Just look into it, you know, and it was interesting, but we talked for a long time. And those are kind of interactions I'm going to start taking and recording. But what Karen was talking about, also, I hire people on Fiverr.com. These are freelancers, and anyone else can go to the site and see what goes on. But in a nutshell, and I make a decent amount of money doing that. You go here, you can set up a service or a gig and sell it. And one of the things people do is video reactions or voiceovers, or I just go and I find people doing video stuff, and I pay them $5 to watch. It's evolved over time, but now I'm paying them $5 to watch 40 minutes of one of the documentaries of Flat Earth that I send them. So this could be like Eric DeBay's 200 Proofs or ODD's videos. He does good ones. And I'll pay him to watch about 40 minutes to an hour and give me a 3 to 5 minute reaction video. And what we're getting back is well worth the $5. I bought 2 of them 2 weeks ago. And both of them came back saying, well, I've been previously exposed to this, but I thought it was nonsense until now. And one of them was literally like, thank you. Now I believe the Earth is flat. Like, wow. And that was just one. I've got like 2 more people that were like, I'm really looking into it. I kind of think it is flat. Like it's 1 out of every 5 people. And that's pretty damn good.
Wow. And what do you think with the person that said they saw it before, what do you think changed? What do you think? And now they believe the Earth's flat.
Here it is. I can look at the exact message, but I want to say the guy was like, yeah, you know, my friends were talking about it, and they were trying to get me into it and trying to get me to look at it. I thought it was nonsense. Same thing with the other girl. Thought it was nonsense. Well, my friends were into it, but until they actually they got paid to look into it for a whole 40 minutes and write 10 notes and then make a 3 to 5 minute little feedback video. Like, honestly, they watched more than 40 minutes of it. One of the guys told me, he's like, I've watched all but one of those documentaries. That's over 5 hours worth of content. He didn't have to watch. I just paid him $5. Wow. So, I mean, you get an idea of like, they were previously exposed to it. They thought it was crazy until they had to sit there and actually try to soak it in and write notes. When they started writing notes, they were like, well, I can't unsee this.
That's right. I think that part of the
part of the dynamic was they were going to be formulating a response. I think that's part of it, is that they needed to critique it and try and find the holes in it.
I got a lot of people that tried to critique based on how the guy sounds or how the video looked or the quality. Like they didn't even want to really talk about. Some of these people didn't even want to talk about the actual content. They tried to dance around it and make me happy or something. And I'm like, no, I'm not looking for critique on the video. I want to know what you think of the facts.
Yeah.
But,
well, and that's part of the dynamic that I think is, don't kill the messenger,
yep.
That old line. But that's really the character assassination goes hand in glove with this whole thing. If they, in their own mind, put the tinfoil hat on us, then they can go along and live their imaginary dream world, even though they don't like it. A lot of people don't like it anyway, but they're in it. And it's maybe comfortable to them. I don't know, but it's interesting. When I got into this, I thought it would be so awesome from the standpoint of, wow, I found a bunch of people that love the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that's kind of a challenge because not necessarily. They may be aware of certain aspects of what's going on, but they have a hard time with the truth. The truth that you may lose your friends and family relationships. You may lose your job. You may lose depending on where you are in the scheme of things. What do you think would happen to Bill Nye if he were to say, yep, I'm a flat earther now, Joe Rogan? They'd probably have a heart attack. They'd probably have something happen to them. I don't think that you can step out of that like Shaq. I don't think you can really walk away from that. When you're at a high level of the deception, I don't think you get to just say, no, I changed my mind.
No,
I'm not going along with it anymore.
You're gonna be found hanging yourself, quote, have hung yourself in a closet, or crashed your car in a tree, or you ended up having an unfortunate swimming accident down at the creek, or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and I, now whereabouts is your home base, Horry? Where do you live?
Northern Arkansas right now.
Northern Arkansas. How far is that from the Clinton stomping grounds?
I don't even like to. Not far, bro.
not far enough, anyway.
Not far enough. No.
Now, do they still live around there, or are they like all over?
I don't even know. I wouldn't know. I don't. I'm around the Ozark area, so I don't even know if I'm too close to it. But if it's in the same state, it's too close to me.
Oh yeah, kind of interesting. Well,
Mina,
this has been
Mina, Arkansas. That's what it was, huh?
Mina, yeah, whole lot of drug. See,
Google it. Oh God, let's see. How far am I?
Have you got to go now, Robert?
I was thinking in a little bit. It's what have we been on, like more than 3 hours?
Yeah, I'm a little bit. Anyway. I'm a little bit concerned because Horry's shown the link and other people have seen it. So I'm not sure if we actually really have to sort of end the hangout because I don't want to be bombed.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Did I really do that to you, Karen?
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry.
You can start another one if you've got things to say because you wanted to come on and talk about a few things, but I just think.
Oh, I mean, I don't, but hey,
okay.
you don't.
Hey, Horry, I've got a special request. I see the witch there. Can you put any flying monkeys in there? Those were always my favorite.
I'm asking people for better ideas and good ideas to put in this, and I plan on redoing the background and add more stuff. You'll see flying monkeys next time.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Well, I'll get
great. I'll get the one that they put in the rocket and sent up. Remember, I'll get his picture and I'll try to.
Yeah, no doubt. I forget what his name was. I remember seeing some
You
video
remember
of
that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, they've been making. It's funny. My beach chairs are Timberline zero gravity chairs. Isn't that funny? They're making fun of us even at that level. The zero gravity chair. There is no gravity. There's buoyancy. There's differences in density and mass. That's
Exactly.
real. You know, what I've noticed is probably jumping to the other topic of AI. When I mention artificial intelligence, the response I normally hear back is they're thinking green men and spaceships and aliens.
Robert,
Yeah.
I think I'm just a bit worried about the link being out. I really think we have to finish, and I really don't like.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I ran
No,
on a bit.
I'm not. You can say goodbye to Horry off air, but we've been on for three and a quarter hours. It's been a really lovely hangout. I'm really glad that Horry and Robert now know each other, and it's brilliant. They've talked to each other and it made Robert laugh. And yeah, we're back on.
Yeah, you did. That was awesome. Well, thank you so
we're
much.
back tomorrow with Aaron. We're back tomorrow with Aaron, Project Lumin. But thank you, Horry, Patricia, Astral, and thank you, Robert.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Karen.
Big hugs
Thank
to
you,
all of you.
Karen. Mwah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And
Much
mwah to the
love.
panel.
Love you all. Okay. Bye-bye.